Just so you understand, it's the single greatest witch hunt in American history, probably in history, but in American history. It's a disgraceful thing. The letter was a great letter, meaning the letter revealing the call. That was done at the insistence of myself and other people that read it. It was a friendly letter. There was no pressure. The way you had that built up, that call, it was going to be the call from hell. It turned out to be a nothing call, other than a lot of people said, I never knew you could be so nice.
Well, that was the president just a few moments ago here in New York City. Texas Congressman John Ratcliffe, Republican who serves on the Judiciary and the Intelligence Committees, joins us now. Congressman, good morning to you. That was the,
morning, Smitty.
That was the president reacting, good morning, to the release of that transcript just over an hour ago. Your reaction to that this morning, sir?
Well, the president knew what was on that transcript. The rest of us didn't. We were told by the Democrats what it was going to be. Yesterday, Nancy Pelosi stood in front of the American people and said, I know I talked about impeachment by collusion, impeachment by conspiracy, impeachment by the president using a Sharpie on a hurricane weather map. We had evidence of all of these crimes, but this time I really, really mean it. We've got a transcript and we've got a whistleblower where the president had corrupt intent to influence the head of the Ukrainian government to do something he didn't want to do. Just wait. Well, today we waited, we got the transcript, and the president was telling the truth, and Nancy Pelosi wasn't. There's no quid pro quo. The president never even mentioned military aid. There wasn't anything but admiration from President Zelensky for President Trump. It wasn't what the Democrats promised, and once again, their impeachment search party came up empty.
Some Democrats are making the case that it's worse than what they expected, and that it clearly shows that the president was pushing a foreign leader, the president of Ukraine, to look into or investigate Joe Biden and his family. To that, you say what?
I say read the transcript. I mean, you know, what they told us was that there was a whistleblower that was going to provide all of the details. I think Brett just made a good point there. The best evidence of what happened is this transcript. And look for the things that the Democrats promised. I didn't see Joe Biden's name mentioned in there 8 times. I didn't see we'll withhold military aid unless you do this. What I heard was a conversation that should take place outside of public view between two heads of state that is in the public view because the Democrats were demanding the president conclusively prove his innocence. I think he's done that today, but he's done it so by harming national security through what the Democrats were demanding. These are conversations that shouldn't be made public, but the president had to do that to conclusively determine his innocence, prove his innocence, and prevent this impeachment search party from going any further.
So there's a lot more reaction coming in. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez just tweeted her first message. I'll read it for you. She puts in quotes, I would like you to do us a favor, which seems to be the line she has focused in from the transcript. And then she adds, folks, I'm surprised the White House even released this. It's worse than we thought. The president sought to use the powers of the United States government to investigate a political opponent. We have no choice but to impeach. I don't think that comment would necessarily be a surprise to you, coming from the Democratic Congresswoman from New York. She staked her position several months ago on that. It appears,
Bill.
It appears they're at 200. Do you think they are higher than that? Can they get to 218 to proceed?
I don't know, and frankly, it doesn't matter. Those folks in the American public and that read this transcript know that they have been searching for a reason to impeach the president. They keep coming up empty, and this transcript certainly doesn't give them impeachable evidence. There's nothing untoward or any corrupt influence exerted in the words in these transcripts, and I think that's clear to anyone that will look at this objectively. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Nancy Pelosi and everyone else went way out on a limb, promised something that wasn't in the transcript, and now they don't want to back up on that because they know their political lives are at stake.
We are just getting a message now. The DOJ concluding the president was not asking for a thing of value. Obviously, at issue here was the criminal violation being considered. The campaign finance law was being looked at. The DOJ is concluding that whatever this was, it was not a thing of value. And I'm reading that directly from a statement from the DOJ. If you want to jump in here as we get the news, Congressman.
Well, what we heard yesterday was Speaker Pelosi declared that there was a violation of law with respect to this procedure, that there was a requirement that this be turned over to Congress. DOJ is also weighing in on that very clearly this fell outside of the whistleblower statute. So the Democrats continue to make false accusations about crimes that didn't occur, promise evidence that doesn't exist, and they can never deliver. And in this case, they have harmed our national security. Do you think that Mr. Zelensky's happy about having his conversations about Macron and Merkel out there for the world to see? And don't you think that's going to influence any conversation that President Trump or any president that follows him has with any world leader? The Democrats, in their desire to destroy Donald Trump, have harmed our national security today.
So there's also from the left who are suggesting the transcript's not a complete transcript. It's a bunch of notes put together. That's what the allegations are. DOJ says they interview people knowledgeable with the process for creating the transcript, are confident that the document is accurate. That again from Jake Gibson.
I hear a bunch of excuses, Bill, for why it doesn't say what they promised it would say. I hear a bunch of excuses for, we know we promised it, but now it's not an accurate transcript. Okay. That's a bunch of garbage. Democrats are going to keep making excuses, and they're going to keep coming up empty.
We're out of time, but we appreciate yours.